Oh, this right here? Yeah, look at this fantastic character.
It's not intimidating at all.
Fucking
Hey! How are you, all right, brother? Thanks. You good?
All right, guys.
Not that I don't like the rest of you, but I like him better.
Is it the accent? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's the accent and the hair. That's a hell of a head of hair. You got to admit.
Should we just cover the elephant in the room straight away?
You do whatever you want to do, brother. I don't
So
care.
obviously there's the run at WWE, the run with doing SmackDown. It wasn't as long as maybe you hoped it would be or thought it was going to be.
That's putting it mildly.
But talk about where you are now. How are you feeling about it? Because you went back in there after a long time of doing that kind of stuff. How are you feeling about it now?
I mean, I feel great about it. Look, it was a great opportunity, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I was grateful for it when it came my way, and I'm grateful for it to this day. It didn't work out, but, in life, that happens sometimes, whether it's relationships or business relationships or any other kind of opportunities. So it didn't work out, but there's no hard feelings. I had a great talk with Vince about a week and a half ago, and everything's cool. And look, there's so many great people that are working there, so many talented people that are working there, and it's a great company. It was a bad fit. That's all. I know the media sometimes expects, the dirt. They want to hear me shoot on WWE, and I'm going to shoot on WWE. I'm going to tell you they're a great company. I was grateful for the opportunity to be there for a short period of time, and I'm rooting for their success.
Was there anything you learned in that experience that you're going to take away from it?
I think one of the things that I learned is that you need to be really, really passionate about making a commitment that big. And it was a big job. It was a big commitment. I said that when I took the opportunity. And to be honest about it, I think that my personality and the way I approach things creatively and the way I approach business just didn't fit their formula. And I think that's one thing that I'm probably going to be a little bit more careful about moving forward, is to make sure that the opportunity and the personalities kind of match up a little bit better than they did. But like I said, that's no fault of theirs. They were very honest and very open about the opportunity when I took it. I thought that it was going to be a great opportunity, but it just wasn't.
Do you still have very much big interest in working in a creative fashion in wrestling?
I'm a creative person. I always have been, as long as I can remember. I'll always be a creative person. I have no idea if I'll ever work in the wrestling business again. I may not. And either way, that's just fine. But I'll probably always find myself working in one way, shape, or form in a creative environment.
Eric, Conrad and I talked this past week, and he said he'd like to see you in a commentary role. Is that a role that you'd be interested in working with? Maybe not AEW, but anywhere, MLW, ROH, anything like that.
Who are you?
I'm Conrad Jr.
Very junior.
Thank you.
No, I'm just kidding you, Nick. Look, I hate to be so coy, but never say never, but highly doubtful. Kind of been there, done that. If I'm going to attack something or engage in something, kind of the point that I just made about being really passionate.
Yeah.
It's got to be something that I really feel challenged by and excited about. And that's kind of like going back to the future a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that would be a good fit for anybody.
Okay, cool.
Eric, you were a key part of the Monday Night Wars, and now we're seeing
I was the Monday Night Wars.
You were the Monday Night Wars.
Get your shit straight.
Now we've got the rejuvenation of the Wednesday Night Wars. Is there anything you've seen AEW done or NXT that you would have liked to have done back in the day?
I don't think that is a fair comparison. I don't mean to sound disrespectful to either NXT or AEW, but it's kind of hard to compare the Monday Night Wars to the Wednesday Night Wars. I don't really think that's a fair comparison to anybody, them or the Monday Night Wars.
Speaking of comparisons, there's been a lot of comparison with AEW to WCW. What are your thoughts on that stuff? Whether it be the name, the ring, what are your thoughts on everybody trying to compare it to WCW with them being on TNT?
Well, I think that's probably the only real connected tissue that I can see is that WCW was on TNT and so is AEW. I think the presentation is quite a bit different. I think the goals are quite a bit different. The wrestling style is quite a bit different. Look, times have changed. WCW on TNT was 20-some odd years ago. And the business and the environment and the style of wrestling and the presentation of it has changed so dramatically that Other than a few small similarities, I think it's really not a very fair comparison.
Keith Mitchell's name comes up a lot as far as like production. That's another, similarity. Is there anything that when you watch Dynamite now you kind of pick out as like maybe a hallmark that comes from him that maybe the ordinary fan, the ordinary eye wouldn't pick up on?
There's a couple of things. That's a very good question. Thank you for asking it. There's also a guy there by the name of Jeff Bornstein. That's not a name that most of you have ever heard before, but Jeff Bornstein was with WCW and handled all the lighting that we had in WCW, and he's also in AEW. And that's one of the things that I pointed out in an interview I did shortly after I left WWE that I thought was a real standout example of what AEW was doing right is the way they lit the crowd. The first episode or two I saw of AEW, they did a fantastic job of lighting the audience because the audience became a character in the show itself and created a ton of energy that translates to the home viewer. And I think a lot of that credit has to go to Jeff Bornstein. Shout out to Jeff. And as well as Keith Mitchell, who I think is one of the more one of the most underrated and lesser known assets in the wrestling industry. Keith is a great talent, amazing guy, and a good guy.
Eric, I wanted to ask you, yesterday we did a panel with Cody, and one of the things we asked him about was, AEW's won 6 weeks in a row in the ratings of NXT, some weeks closer than others, and I asked him about how they feel about that, because they knew WWE were probably going to counter, and he said he doesn't want AEW to be reactionary. He doesn't want them to be watching NXT to be like, oh, we're going to do this to exactly copy that. You've been in that situation where you're head-to-head with somebody. How do you feel that approach will be for them?
I think it's very smart. It's very astute of Cody to feel that way. They've got to be their own brand. They have to have their own vision. They have to distinguish themselves, from NXT in order to be successful. Otherwise, they'll end up just being another version of, a WWE product. So I think if Cody has that observation and that vision, it's a healthy one. And I think it's a vision and an observation that will serve him very well.
Let me ask you this question. We're seeing this explosion continue with wrestling popularity online. Social media is just dominating. But we're not seeing that correlation with television ratings, which are on the decline. Is that a case, in your opinion, of just not attracting the casual wrestling fan anymore? Or, why is it that it's so popular online, not so much with the television ratings?
It's a very good question, and I'm not sure. I know for a fact I don't have the answer to that, and I'm not sure too many other people, even within the television or digital community, really does. We all have a tendency to kind of make comparisons back to someone else did it a few moments ago to the Monday Night Wars, right? It was a different time. It was a different industry. Television was a different property then than it is today. I think with all the different ways and means by which people have a way to engage their favorite entertainment, it is really having an effect on traditional television. And I don't think you can look at traditional television and ratings to try to make a valuation on the success of a product. I think anybody that is looking, for example, let's look at it this week. I think between NXT and AEW, they were both in the 800,000 viewer category. Yeah. Right? That's TNA numbers 4 years ago, 5 years ago, which was considered kind of abysmal. But in today's environment, 800,000 viewers, particularly 800,000 viewers that is strong in an 18 to 49-year-old demographic, is somewhat attractive to a television network. 5 years ago, they would have pulled the plug on you within 3 minutes. So the industry is changing, the platforms are evolving and changing, and the challenges are evolving and changing. I just don't think it's fair to make comparisons.
I wanted to ask real fast. They said that you were brought in with WWE partially to help work on the transition to Fox. I'm wondering, what role did you play in that? Did you have regular communications with Fox? Like, what was those talks like?
I don't know who said that.
Okay, great. I want to bring that up. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There was a lot of things written.
Yeah.
And Nick, you and I, worked together in the podcast in the past. You know exactly how I feel about dirt sheets. And
I'm very real.
Write them. So much of the stuff that you've read in dirt sheets, at the time when I came into WWE and subsequently after getting in WWE, is just, like nuclear horse shit. It's not is so much so far off base. I don't think I was brought in. Nobody ever articulated to me that I was brought in to help manage the process with Fox.
Okay.
If that was true, somebody forgot to tell me.
Okay, so you never talked to the Fox executives or anything like that. That was
sure.
never... Okay, you did.
Sure, I had. I mean, there were representatives of Fox that I certainly did deal with and coordinate with, but it was never articulated to me that was one of the reasons that I was being brought in. That was just one of the aspects of the job.
Okay.
You on television, even before your past run here with WWE, you played the authoritative role a lot of times on television, obviously with WCW and with WWE. How does you feel? And a lot of the times AEW seems to be steering away from having a big authoritative figure kind of take over. How do you feel the role of the authoritative figure should be portrayed nowadays? Do you think it's still relevant in any ways, or do you think it's just been oversaturated and overdone in a lot of ways?
That's a really, really good question, and it's a big challenge because, look, you need a framework, right? Whether it's the NFL or Major League Baseball, you have commissioners, you have authority figures in one way, shape, or form. I'm sure in soccer, football, you have certain kind of architectural controls and things that kind of guide a franchise or a brand. And I think the authority figure is still necessary. And look, I'm 64 years old. When I was a wrestling fan back in Detroit when I was watching wrestling, or in Minneapolis when I was watching wrestling, which is probably the largest part of my fandom, if you will, as a young man, young boy, even into my 20s. You had your commissioner, that would come in and make that final ruling or make that one very important match. So the authority figure has always been a really big part of the industry, but I think it has been overdone to the point where it's really, really challenging now to come up with a way to do it that's effective and entertaining to the audience without the audience feeling like, been there and done that.
Having been in WWE, I mean, we don't get a lot of people who are able to say they've worked with Vince recently and kind of got to see his process and stuff. We hear critiques all the time if he's out of touch or all these different things. You've been there. What is Vince's... Is he a little bit more hands-off now, lets people in more? Is he the same way he was 15 years ago? Did you notice any differences?
Well, I don't know what he was like 15 years ago. I can tell you, for the very, very brief period of time, which was just a minute, in the big scheme of things, that I was there, I would say that he's anything other than hands-off. He's a very, very hands-on individual. And it's been amazingly successful, that company. They're a massive, massive global brand. And I think a large part of the reason for that is because of Vince McMahon. And because of his attention to detail and his passion and his work ethic and the way he manages the formula and protects his brand. My experience with him is that, like I said, he's anything but hands-off.
Open-minded though to opinions and discussions? Is it a kind of open forum that way?
I don't want to discuss too much about the process out of respect for the WWE and the friends that I have working here. I'll just leave it with he's a very hands-on individual.
Okay.